Network. The transfer portal opened Monday. It's filling up fast. Norlander, some people with jobs like ours seem really bothered by this. I'm not. Are you?
The fact that it's filling up? No. There's a couple angles on this. In all honesty, like, I don't care about the transfer portal right now. I care about the tournament and the storylines and what's happening on the floor. Transfer portal stuff to me is the kind of, I even hate to say content, but transactional stuff that really has more intrigue and value for me personally. Once we find out who is the last team standing in San Antonio and the days following that, literally I'm not going to deny that players that are opting to go into it are, in some cases, and not many, but in some are newsworthy, literally seconds before we just came back from break, Donovan Dent announced that he was going into the portal. Donovan Dent was one of the 20 best players in the country this season at New Mexico. And so that's a notable one. Like Tucker DeVries, technically in the portal, but following his father to Indiana. Bennett Sturts was one of the best guards in the country this season. He's going to follow Ben McCollum to Iowa, as should be expected. Malik Renew is one of the more notable players from Indiana. He's in the portal. We'll get bigger names as stuff moves along. I just don't find myself all that interested in it, to be honest, because I care more about the tournament. And I think most fans, frankly, care way, 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 way more about the tournament than a lot of players whose impact next year and the year after is very much TBD. I do care about when it opens. Like there's no stopping, and nor should there be. If a player wants to announce that they will go into the portal, players did that 2 weeks ago. But I just don't think this is remotely beneficial to the sport that it opens now. This is not a new opinion. I said this on the podcast a year ago and the year before that. At the absolute earliest, the portal should be opening after the Elite Eight. If you want to say, okay, we get to a Final Four and there's only 4 teams left in Division I that are competing for a national championship, there'll be a few more. We got that silly crown thing that's now happening in Vegas, and that's going to be a disaster with the portal in general. I get that. I wouldn't even push back on that. A lot of people say, no, it should be after the Final Four, period. But I think you can even move it back one more week. I had a coach that's in the Sweet 16 hit me up yesterday and say, we're preparing to play X team, okay? This is a coach of a team who has a worse seed than the team that they are facing. And they said, 75% of our meeting today, 75% was about the portal. We're trying to game plan and beat this. That is so emblematic to me, GP, of where we do not need to be in college basketball. If coaching staffs that are competing and participating in the Sweet 16 are spending the Monday after the first weekend of the tournament with 75% of their conversation time and attention on the portal and not their next game and trying to make a Final Four, a part of the sport is broken and it needs to be fixed. They need to bump the portal opening date to the week after the Elite Eight, in my opinion, starting next year.
I would not object to that, but I would also note that we now know, and I mean, we've always known, but it's like on the record, coaches have told us in the past week or so that in some cases these conversations between schools and sitting head coaches started weeks ago, if not months ago. So every time somebody stands up and says this transfer portal shouldn't be open in the middle of a season that's still ongoing because it creates all of this uncertainty and all of these conversations, well, we know coaches are talking to agents and other schools, athletic directors, all that search firms. While the season's unfolding, it seems a little hypocritical to be up in arms about players perhaps thinking about their future while a season is still unfolding as well. Either way, my larger point is that you see the numbers, it's hundreds very quickly. And you can't keep up. And
you can't.
To your point,
we might be GP. We might be at 800 plus by the end of Tuesday, just so people have an idea of how many guys have hopped in the portal. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the overwhelming majority of them, like you see their name, and the next time you'll see their name is when they commit somewhere, and then you'll never think about them again. All right? So I guess where I just sort of roll my eyes, I see people say things like, this is ridiculous, all these young people in the transfer portal. And I actually think it's the smartest thing a young person could do. Like, if my son were a college basketball player, unless we were just as happy as we could be in every aspect, I would advise to get into the transfer portal every offseason. These are jobs now, high-paying jobs. That's what they are. If you're a high major basketball player, you are pursuing a good job that pays well. There's a lot of money getting thrown around right now, sometimes stupidly. I don't know why it's ridiculous for a young person to make himself available and just find out if somebody wants to throw a stupid amount of money at you. Perhaps you'll get answers that humble you a little bit. Maybe the market for you isn't quite what you hoped it would be, but there is going to be somebody, lots of people, who jump into the transfer portal and end up agreeing to deals to play basketball somewhere for much more money than they play basketball this season. And I don't know why that should be considered a bad thing. If you want to redo the whole system and like blow it up, start from scratch, collectively bargain, all of that stuff, I'm for that. I don't like the way this is. But it is not the player's responsibility to save the sport. I saw that last night. Like all these players getting in the transfer portal is ruining the sport. Well, it's not the player's job to save the sport or improve the sport. There's right. Other people. Yeah, the players need to do what's best for the players. And right now, I genuinely believe this. The best thing you can do as a college basketball player, if you have any value at all, is get into the transfer portal. Even if you think you're going right back where you just were, still, you might want to get in there and get as many offers as you can, and then you use them as leverage to make sure you are going to school next season and maximizing the amount of money you're going to earn while doing it.
Just the idea that, if everyone's in the portal, does the portal even exist? And kind of breaking the actual existential concept of the portal in general is kind of twisting my brain. I can't disagree with a lot of what you said there. Obviously, there will be situations where some players just find that they can get the most where they are, but I get your point. There's a real value to that. I just don't find it beneficial or, frankly, all that interesting to having this happen while we still have 16 teams in the tournament. A year ago, as a reminder, this actually happened after Selection Sunday, and we were having a very similar conversation. Almost everyone in the sport, not everyone, but like an overwhelming amount of people, I'm talking athletic directors and coaches and agents and media people and fans, did not think that it was at all appropriate to have the portal open the Monday after Selection Sunday. They moved it back a week. I think it is progress. I think you still need to move it one more week and keep it open for a 30-day period. That's plenty of time for the majority of April to figure this out and to not have a situation where you have coaches that are dealing with this. And also, in addition to players, I mean, I don't know how many others there are. I know Justin Pippen, who plays for Michigan, is in the portal. I frankly have been too busy to suss this out. I suppose I could send a text and find out, but I assume he's going to be traveling with the team, right? And so I'm going to go in the portal once our season's done. I don't even have an issue with that, but I don't think it's the greatest look of all. Justin Pippen, the son of Scottie Pippen, go get your bag, go find your path. I get all that. I just want it pushed back at least one more week for the benefit of the sport and to have much more of the attention and really all of the attention for the most part on the tournament. In addition to your point on the coaching stuff is completely valid. I'll just note it does create turmoil. There are headlines there. But there aren't 700 coaches changing jobs as opposed to 700 players. It's kind of apples and oranges. I just at least wanted to provide that counterbalance to what you said. But your point on coaches moving and talking before, completely fair. And if players and their representation are, quote unquote, tampering, going back weeks and weeks and weeks, you might not like it, but you can't stop it. It's going to be a thing that happens.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens that you can do nothing about. One last note, and then we'll move on because, you tweet something along the lines of what I've been saying, and people try to counter argue it in a variety of ways. And then I just go to sleep and wake up to it the next morning. But you see some of the replies, and I understand people think they're making good points, but sometimes I just think they're misguided on them. For instance, I'll see something like, hey, I don't mind these young people maximizing their worth or value, but when you start transferring from one school to the next, your college credits aren't going to transfer seamlessly with you in all cases. And you're making it very difficult to graduate college, or at least more difficult than it otherwise would be. And you know what? Here's the truth. That's 100% true. But it also is not the priority. I know this is counterintuitive, but a college basketball player right now should not be trying to graduate college as quickly as possible. That should not be the goal. You know what the goal should be? Make as much money in college as you can while you're in college. And if you have to sacrifice some credits along the way, you can make them all up in an extra semester or two down the road. But you should be trying to make all the money you can make right now, because in a lot of people's cases, the most money they'll ever make playing basketball is the money they're going to make in the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12. It's right now. It's there. You'll never get it back. And you should be trying to maximize that. I had an SEC coach tell me that he could honestly tell a high school prospect, if you come with me, redshirt, and then play 4 years for me and live off your scholarship and cost of attendance stipend, you can graduate college and leave this school as a millionaire off of your NIL. That's available to you. But it's only available to you if you go to the places, or at least make yourself available to the places that had that kind of money to throw around. And that's why I do not blame a single player for getting into the transfer portal. They won't all hear the news that they want to hear, but some of them are going to get offers that they didn't even think were realistic offers, say 6 months ago. Again, there's a lot of money being thrown around, and the people throwing it around don't always know what they're doing with it.